Hi, audience. Parul Begum here, life and leadership coach, and your host as usual. I have got an exciting guest today with me from all the way from Haiti. Kareen Ulysse. Kareen is a uh, American and Haitian, and Karen joining us to give us some of her top tips from her own life experiences. Karen, welcome on board and thank you very much for giving us your time today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I've been looking forward to do this. So thank you.
Thank you. So, a little introduction about Karen, and I'm sure you're going to hear more from her. So, Karen is actually the founder of the Centre Hospital de Fontaine Foundation. Is a French word, so excuse my language. Karen gonna say it properly. Um, and is her father's legacy that she's supporting is 31-year-old hospital. Her mission is to ensure that low-income communities and inner cities like the one served by the foundation hospital have access to at least one hospital, one school, and a workforce capable of meeting their needs effectively and compassionately. Karinda is a great passion, and I really admire your work, and I've seen a lot of videos, pictures you've been putting on social media while all the work you're doing,
Thank
it is
you.
really, really emotional and touching. So great that you joining us today. So Karen, first of all, if you could introduce yourself a bit about yourself and your journey to this world.
Yes, ma'am. Well, my full name is Kareen Ulysse, but in regular Haitian culture, we usually go by our middle name. So I go by Kareen Ulysse. So a little bit about me. The first 14 years of my life were spent in Haiti. And the first 7 of those 14 years were spent right behind the hospital, which is an area called Cité Soleil, one of the most dangerous areas in Haiti today. And I had the opportunity, my parents had the opportunity over time to earn more and leave the area. But my father started the hospital there.
So, Karen, you was talking about your parents started the hospital. Can you elaborate a bit more?
Yes, yeah. So we left the area in 1998, but then because a lot of people had left, the area started to become more and more dangerous, poorer and poorer, so meaning more dangerous. But unlike many people, we left, but my parents had already, mostly my dad, he had already started this little health clinic. So we really couldn't pull the plug on the area. So over the years, I went on we left Haiti in 2004. That was a fairly traumatic experience for me. My father was an advisor to the president at the time, and we left Haiti as political refugees. And during that time, it was they were going after everyone who worked with that political party. And I remember he had several businesses. They had burned all his businesses except the hospital. And then it was, mind you, the hospital is in the area, the first area where you would assume that they would go destroy it, but the people in the community really protected it. So in around 2005, I remember hearing my dad being so happy about it. I was like, huh. I started to. It's still recording?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I remember my dad being very happy about that. And that caught me by surprise because that's not what you would expect to hear. You know, when you only hear negativity about so when you only hear negativity about something, it caught me by surprise. I'm like, okay, maybe there's more to this story. So I really haven't shared this with anyone, but I became interested in like psychology a little bit because I'm like, why is everyone believing one thing? And then here we are experiencing something different. So 2005, we learned that they protected the hospital. That really started to get me to look at the world a little differently. Like, don't believe what everyone says just because they said it. So that was my first I guess you could say rebellious act towards society. And I'll talk to why, how that ties into everything. Et puis, I became a teacher because I grew up in Haiti. Seeing abuse in the classroom was absolutely heartbreaking for me. Teachers would beat students. Classrooms are like a place where people, instead of learning, it's like in Haiti, especially in low-income neighborhoods, education is almost like a traumatizing center. It's like, come get traumatized. So before I left Haiti, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So once we left Haiti, and the way we left Haiti, I knew I wanted to work with the low-income groups, because I'm like, here I am being told that they're all bad people, and then they protected the hospital. So I'm like, well, maybe if I can teach these people and stuff. So I went into education, but I specifically wanted to teach low income. And then what do you call that? 2010, we almost lost my father in the 2010 earthquake. He was under the rubbles, and he should have died so many times. But that was my first encounter really with faith. I'm like, okay, there is a God. So it's little parts of my life, like key parts of my life. So yeah, I was still in college, and my faith really started to become an active part of my life. And I'm trying to think the next big chunk. 2010 earthquake, graduated 2013, and visited Haiti. And I visited one of my old principals, and I remember thinking, I really need to come back to Haiti. And to go back to the faith idea, it was a scary time. It was becoming a scary time, 2014, 2015. That's when the kidnappings and all of that started. And then I'm like, God, you gave me that desire. So there's, give me enough faith to move, to act. There, you have enough people. There are some people who have faith in whoever they believe in, but it's just enough to pray. But I was like, give me enough faith to take action, because you put that desire for me to be in Haiti in my heart. You put the low income. I could have chosen, the rich areas, but you specifically chose this for me by having my dad start something there in the 80s and stuff. So all this to say, these little parts of my life, I've realized, and then I became a mom in between. So it's like, I've learned over the years to just accept the journey, but also create structure within that journey, and not just be I don't believe in, what do you call that thing? Just letting things just be. Things are going to happen, but you do have to add structure to it. So over time, I had to learn to balance being the good daughter, the good mother, the good granddaughter, and also being true to me. So I had to create a lot of structure around that to make where I am today possible. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, Kareen, thank you very much for sharing your life journey with us. Also, some of the challenges you faced, and also the faith that kind of kept you going and refocusing. And you also mentioned about being a mom. So that takes me to my next question. Today's topic, you decided to talk about, balancing motherhood and, like chasing while chasing your dream. Why is that topic is important to you? Did you hear my question?
We'll get through it.
Did you hear my question?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So all I was going to say, Karen, is today we're talking about balancing motherhood and chasing your dream. Why this topic is so important to you?
It's important to me because as a young woman, I've been made to feel guilty for committing to this work just as much, but it looks different, just as much as I've committed to motherhood. And it's become the norm to see the mom sacrifice every single one of her dreams and for the children. And I might get some backlash for this, but I've always been an old soul because I've always sat with the people older than me, at least 10, 15 years older than me. And over time, as I've gotten older, the groups of people have gotten older. And I have never, ever met No matter how dedicated the mom was when we were little, I have never met a mom who doesn't say she didn't regret choosing herself more. So I realized, why do I have to wait until I'm in my 50s and 60s to also regret too? If all these moms say the same thing, and mind you, these were the moms that were happy 30-year-old moms sacrificing everything, right? And then you hear them 20 years later saying, I wish I took more time for me. So I decided this is definitely a conversation that we don't have. There's guilt around wanting to choose you first. And it doesn't mean first that your children come last. It's just you. It's okay for you to come first. So I think for the woman, regardless of what her age is, whether she has children, it's okay. I wanted people to know it's okay to choose you. Start now. And then if you don't have children yet, put yourself in a position where you can choose yourself too in the process. So I don't think we're honest, women, I don't think we're honest enough about choosing us first, in my opinion.
Absolutely, Kareen. I think one of the important point you raised is, choosing yourself first, because we are mothers, and mother, have unconditional love for their children. But what mothers forget is, if you're not well enough, how can you look after your child? The first announcement when you go into the plane is, put your oxygen mask first before you put into your child or anybody else. Because if you can't breathe, how can you help somebody else to breathe? And that's something is all about balancing. And I think it's a great topic you've chosen to talk about today, Kareen, is all about balancing.
Yeah.
And there is no, as a woman, there is no harm and no guilt. There shouldn't be any guilt you choosing yourself first, because you come first, because you got to look after yourself in order to look after others. And women sometimes in certain communities being conditioned from early age that you are last, your husband, your child, your community, your mother-in-law, your parents come first, you are the last. And that's
And
how
their
people.
dreams too.
Yeah,
It's like their dreams come first too.
yeah, and
What about
that's
your
why
dream?
a lot of people you may met, Karen, you talked about women then regret when they're later age saying, oh, I don't chase my dream. So it's important for women who's listening, girls who's listening, it's important to realize you come first. You're first,
Yes.
and then you can look after everybody else. So great topic, Karen, and thank you for bringing that out. Okay, so my next question is from your own experience, can you give our audience, people who are listening, your top tips on how to balance motherhood
Yeah.
while they chase their dream?
Yes, ma'am. The number one thing is to be honest with where you are right now. You have to be honest. You can have the best dreams possible. And when I say being honest about where you are, I'm talking about emotionally, mentally, financially, and your support system, which cuts into your time. The reason why I can say I'm in this position is because, first of all, thank God for my support system. They've given me, I was able, my child's father, we were able to come to an agreement where I'm like, okay, I get him for XYZ years. You get him for XYZ years. And then he comes back to me for XYZ years. So, and then I'm in that window now where he's his dad for elementary school. A son that he needs his dad anyway. So I'm like, this window where he's with his dad, this is my chance to go for it. So the number one thing I do want people to know is you have to be honest about your support system. Because if you are doing it by yourself, you can still do it. You can still put yourself first, but it's going to cost more. Because now you have to hire people to do the things that maybe grandma or grandpa or husband or boyfriend could do. So number one thing is definitely being honest about your support system. Can somebody watch them while you study, while you something like that? So number one thing is being honest about your support system, which affects your time and then how you're going to approach it financially. And also emotionally, if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's going to be draining to do it. So again, your support system affects everything else on there. And then mentally, are you really ready? Because the guilt does get to you. And I'm the kind of person, before I commit to something, it could take me 2 years before I commit to something. But once I commit, that's it. So I have to mentally prepare myself to know that every decision that I'm making away from my son to protect my father's legacy is reshaping his reality, because he can't make, that's still time away from mommy. And I don't know how he's going to that's something that messes me up every now and then. It's like, because I remember when I was growing up with my father, I'll end with this. Now in my 30s, I'm like, oh, that's why you were never home. I understand it. But I remember as a teenager going through my teenage hating him for not being home. So it's you have to be mentally prepared for not knowing how choosing you might affect your child's reality and how they perceive you. So that's definitely my biggest how, is being honest about where you are with your support system, which affects your time, which affects how you're gonna handle it emotionally, financially, mentally. And then lastly, once you commit. It's not going to be easy, but prepare first. Don't just, like, good intentions mean nothing to me. You have to prepare. I don't care how much this is your dream, how much you wanted this. This is me, mom's legacy. Prepare first. Prepare. And once you commit and communicate with your children too. With my son, like when I'm here, I FaceTime him often. I'm like, do you know why mommy's here? Yeah, for Papa's hospital. And do you know why Papa's hospital needs me? Because the kids need, I dumb it down. The kids need help. And if you're not here, so communicate with the children. They understand a lot more than we give them credit for. And maybe if my parents communicated why my father was so absent, that teenage year wouldn't be such a strain. So yeah, communicate and be honest about where you are, ask for help. And if you don't have that help, put yourself in a position financially to make it happen. So that is my how. These are my hows.
Oh, thank you very much, Kareen. Great points. You talked about a number of points, being practical, getting the support, talked about mental support, you talked about, preparation, which are key points. And one of the things you mentioned about, is creating the support system is so important, whether they are your family member or external people. Sometimes people, when they struggle, they forget that there are external support available, asking a coach or mentor to help them, or trainer to help them, giving them the professionalism of how they can get help, as well as practically, and that helps with the mindset and the mental health as well. And lastly, you talked about communication, or being open and transparent with your children, with your loved ones, so that they understand why you're doing it and what the purpose, so that when they grow up, they know, your values and why you've done it. So it's so important. So thank you very much, Karen, for sharing that. So if you were to leave one main point with our audience, what that would be?
Man, you have to believe in something. I'm not going to tell you who, what, when. You have to believe in something, because once you do commit to whatever it is that you commit to, and then you're falling back and you don't feel like there's a ground that's going to hold you, you have to know that there's something bigger than you who's going to pick you back up, because you're going to give up. You're gonna want to give up, and you're gonna give up sometimes, but it's gonna be that faith that, no, this dream was put in me, this fire, something put it in me. I don't know what it is, but it's in me for a reason. So you have to believe in something before you go for it. Anything, believe in something. Have faith.
Karen. Absolutely, self-belief is so important. So Karen, if people want to get to know more about you or connect with you, what will be the best point of connection?
Instagram, I'm more active on my personal Instagram, but I only post about the foundation.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But
people might be interested on your foundation. There will be, YouTube is open to anyone. So people might be interested to know more about your foundation. When you put those pictures, that is a touching, what you do, that clearly shows what you do. So is it Kareen Ulysse? Is your personal name on the Instagram that people can connect with you?
Yes, ma'am. Kareen_Ulysse.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kareen, for your time. Audience, we'll be coming back with more topics. and more interesting information and learning information as well. So please do share our videos, because you never know who you're going to help. There's lots of top tips for you to share, and please do subscribe so that you get alert when we release the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much, Kareen, for your time today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.